I'd like to call to order the regular school board meeting for Royal Oak Schools of November 12th, 2020. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you and welcome. So before we get started, I do see a couple of the new board members. Welcome, Mr. Chikorsky, Mrs. Alexander. Welcome to the board. I'm sure Lisa will be coming shortly, but a couple months you'll be sitting up here, so thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to presentations, and we'll start with the National Merit Commended Students, Mr. Geremini.
I'd like to ask the National Merit Commended students to join me over here, please. Well, good evening. My name is Mike Geremini. I'm the principal of Royal Oak High School. I want to thank you for the opportunity to highlight some of the academic all-stars at our school. This evening, we are here to applaud our Ravens being recognized by the National Merit Program. Now, as you may know, each October, our 11th graders take the PSAT NMSQT. That's the Preliminary SAT National Merit Semifinalist Qualifying Test. Not only is this assessment good preparation for the SAT they typically take in April, but it's also an opportunity to qualify for the National Merit Program. In October 2019, over 1.5 million students took this assessment nationwide. Of those students, 34,000 scored high enough to be recognized as National Merit Commended students. It's a little over 2%. This year, 5 Royal Oak High School students are being recognized through this program as commended students. Alex Hoyer, Naya Peters, Danya Sahib, Mason Selecki, and Tim Stanley. It probably goes without saying, these young people are outstanding representatives of Royal Oak High School and of our community as a whole, and we're proud of their accomplishments. I'd like to highlight a few things about each of them. As you might expect, they all have very strong GPAs. Alex is first in my alphabetical list. Alex is described as ambitious, insightful, and creative, and an extremely strong student over his 4 years at Royal Oak High School. He has a love for technology and computer science, especially when paired with a creative viewpoint. I have no doubt that zeal for creativity will ensure his future success, as employers identify it as one of the most sought-after traits in new hires. He is a 4-year member of the Royal Oak High School robotics team and has also been a member of the Royal Oak High School men's cross-country team and our National Honor Society. Naya is focused, ambitious, determined, and a thoughtful young lady who is not afraid to offer her ideas and suggestions to make the school environment a better place. She is praised for working hard and not backing down from challenges, and realizes that success can only be obtained through hard work and approaching each task with a positive mindset. She is highly involved in extracurriculars. She's a talented trumpet player and has a dedication and passion for helping others. She spends her free time volunteering at Royal Oak Public Library, tutoring students, as well as promoting confidence and other important skills. Danya is a rare student who combines academic giftedness and intellectual curiosity with active participation in a variety of activities, always showing kindness and concern for the needs of others. She's been a member of the Royal Oak High School Interact Club, National Honor Society, Spirit Club, Lacrosse, Drama Club. Woo! Everybody good?
Are you all right?
I'm good, just a little startled. I feel like I got censored. The Drama Club and the robotics team. Danya has a great passion for helping others. She started a nonprofit organization called Kits for Kids. She was concerned that elementary students wouldn't have some essential school supplies to start the school year because of COVID. She decided to create an individual supply kit for every kindergartner in the Royal Oak schools. She raised $5,000 towards Kit for Kids, which allowed her to get pencils, crayons, pens, and erasers for all the kindergartners attending Royal Oak Elementaries. Mason. Mason is a kind and caring young man who has consistently demonstrated an enthusiasm and joy for learning. Throughout high school, Mason has challenged himself in the classroom. His goal was to take more rigorous courses than the previous year. Each year, he stepped up his game and maintained a strong grade point average. This year, he's taking calculus and English composition at OCC, as well as AP Environmental Science at ROHS. He's been involved in the ROHS swim and dive team, track and field team, and National Honor Society. He's also in the final process of earning his Eagle Scout status, something less than 2% of all Scouts earn. The skills and characteristics that Mason has learned from the Scouts will also help him in his role as class treasurer for the class of 2021. And last but not least, Tim. Tim is assiduous by nature and also has a great passion for learning. He has chosen to take a rigorous college prep schedule during high school. In addition to academic excellence, Tim has been active at ROHS. He's participated in swim and dive, lacrosse, tennis, and the Interact Relief Trip. Now, Tim and others have put a lot of time, back aching, sweat, and tears during their Alt-Feb relief trip to make other people's lives a little bit better. A lesson that he said resonates with him is that in a time of crisis, you need to put others before yourself and help in any way you can. Congratulations to our scholars. I would like to have each of Royal Oak High School's National Merit Commended students come to the podium, introduce themselves, acknowledge who's here with them tonight, and talk a little bit about their post-secondary plans. Not all at once.
Hello, I am Naya Peters. I'm here tonight with my parents and grandparents. And after high school, I plan on going to the University of Michigan for a degree in engineering.
My name is Mason Slecki. I'd like to thank all of you for inviting us here tonight, and a special thanks to my mom for joining us. Following high school, I plan on attending a four-year university and continuing my swimming career.
My name is Tim Stanley. I'm here with my mom tonight, and after high school, I plan on going to college.
Hi, my name is Dania Sahib. I'm here with my mom tonight, and after high school, I plan on going to college and pursuing a degree in chemistry.
Hi, my name is Alex Hoyer. I'm here with my parents, and after high school, I plan on going and pursuing a degree in mathematics.
Yes, congratulations to all of you. Well done, all of you. With that, we'll move on to the reports. 4.1, Curriculum and Instruction. Mrs. Olson.
Hello, can you hear me? I feel like I have to say that because that's the first thing you say when you join a remote meeting, right? Can you hear me? Okay. I have a quick update for you tonight, and it is related to item 9.3 on the agenda tonight, and it is the extended learning plans. I'm not going to share. So we were here a week ago when the board considered a resolution about returning to school, and so that was covered in great detail last week. So I'm here today to tell you a little bit about what the state requires for extended learning plans and what we share with them, and also a few added details for going forward. We won't go over everything again that we went over last week, but we will tonight. So 9.3, we got communication from the state this fall saying that we should upload with the state or complete a document at the state that shares the current status of our return, of our learning plans, is the extended COVID learning plan is what they call it. So we are compliant with that. Last week, we of course used the board's approval of the resolution, and I uploaded to the state on Friday, November 6th. The results of that, it's the details, it's a certain website that we log into and complete those things. So that's what we do. It's a summary of what you approved the nights before. And along with that, there's a second piece that the state asks for to go along with the summary of the learning plans, and that is something called the two-way interaction rate. So right before school started this year, the state was helping us all figure out how to keep track of student engagement. The team of people that took care of that would be our pupil accountants. Those are the people who've always helped us with attendance. So that team learned a lot of new rules in August and as September was beginning when students were coming back. There was a lot of details about that, but quite simply put, what the state was requiring from districts that were in a remote setting was that we track two-way interactions. And two-way interactions, teachers in schools would track two-way interactions the way we used to track attendance. And there was two events that could satisfy that. One would be actually being in a remote class with your teacher and the teacher takes attendance that you attended. And the other way to do it would be if you had a one-on-one interaction with the teacher, maybe that was during an office hour or something like that. For pupil accounting rules, the state asked that we meet a 75% completion or to reach 75% two-way interactions with all of our students. So I'm telling you this because that is the other piece of information that we share with the state once a month, and I did upload that information to the state last Friday as well. And we have as of last Friday, I had 9 weeks of two-way interaction rates to upload to the state. And I can tell you that there's been a nice increase. In week 1, we were at 92.7. Week 2, 93 and point, something. Week 2, 93, week 3, 92, week 4, 94 point something, all the way up to 97 in week 8 and 96.25 in week 9. I won't read them all, but it's a nice little trend there showing increases in those two-way interaction rates. So that's that. And we can do this. We are required to do this once a month for the rest of the year, so I'll be sharing that with the board either in a board report or at a board meeting. Any questions about that? Okay, great. I have a few updates from special education. Special education, we heard a little bit about it last week, is entering a new phase of learning. They are going to be in a remote setting now. For the last 8 weeks, our special education students and staff have had opportunities to come into the building for lessons and also for ancillary services. As we discussed last week, special education will be going fully remote going forward. And to answer the question, so Jane Flaherty-Graham, our special education director, is doing a great job, and I thank her for putting these details together for us tonight and constantly sharing with us how it's going and working so hard to make sure our students are getting what they need. She wants to always remind us that it's hard to answer the questions, what would a special education student get? She reminds us every day it's individualized by nature, so every student should be receiving what they need, and it's determined through the IEP process. So she just wanted to remind us all again that it's individualized, so having those things met. And that includes ancillary services such as speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and social work. Students, of course, special education students, obviously, of course, engage in their general education classes as well as any other supports that they should have. She has a note for us about self-contained special education programs. Our self-contained classrooms provide services to students with cognitive impairment, autism spectrum disorder, emotional impairment, and health impairment. This includes our adult transition program, Trails. During remote learning, student service times will remain the same as they have been since September. Students received at least 4 to 5 hours of in-person instruction per week. During remote instruction, students will receive 1 to 2 hours of remote learning per day, delivered in smaller chunks of time to ensure engagement. This will include synchronous lessons with their teacher, paraprofessional, or ancillary staff. Students will also be provided with hands-on activities to complete at home in lieu of asynchronous lessons in order to meet their unique learning needs. And of course, students will receive their general education instruction as well as their specials classes. Only a couple quick updates at the elementary level. One is that Friday morning is an added day of synchronous learning. And again, synchronous learning is live remote learning. Synchronous means we're both on camera, both meaning the students and the teacher are both on camera engaging in instruction. And that starts on Fridays for second marking period. Also second marking period, priority standards in science and social studies will be covered. All students at the elementary level, and this is the last point for elementary, specials classes will change. Normally in every other year, students have all 4 specials throughout the week, every week throughout the year. In order to accommodate those schedules, students at our elementary level had 2 of their 4 specials first marking period. Now they will rotate and have their other 2 specials for second marking period. For the middle school, again, just a few updates of things that they've added. The things I'm sharing with you tonight are things that are added to the previous remote learning environment. The middle school is going to 5 days of synchronous lessons, Monday through Friday on the morning. And student-teacher conferencing and student support moves to Monday through Thursday afternoon schedule. The rationale for this is that class sessions are isolated to mornings to increase specific supports for students inside the school day throughout the week. I think that's a really great way of providing some protected time in the middle of the day where students are present and can get into those office hours or conference times or whatever you would like to call them. And the implementation of this ROMS learning plan required extensive professional learning. And Mr. Noonan, thank you to Mr. Noonan and his staff and his admin team for creating a plan that has the best interests of students in mind. They did a great job. And he wanted to point out and remind me that professional learning has been key in this, and everybody knows teachers are really, and students and families are trying to learn new ways of doing things. So it's going well because of the professionalism of the staff and how hard they're working to deliver instruction that meets the needs of the children in the safest way possible. Students have 12:20 p.m. to 1:10 p.m., this is at the middle school, Monday through Thursday to meet with counselors, social workers, and other embedded support personnel within a schedule that provides even more supportive engagement opportunities. All classes will be focusing on social emotional learning so that students and teachers can make connections. Again, thank you so much to the Royal Oak Middle School administrative team and the staff that put this plan together. I do believe they have created a plan that meets the best, meets students' needs and has their best interests in mind. I admire and support the amount of work that they have all put into making these arrangements for our students. Over to the high school, who may have the least amount of change and additions. The high school remains in remote. Just a few neat things that are happening at the high school. Starting the week of November 9th, National Honor Society members are offering free virtual tutoring to students at ROHS. Students will be offered each Wednesday and Thursday. Sessions will be offered each Wednesday and Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. Each day, 2 25-minute sessions are available, and students can sign up with My Conference Time. That's a new app that they're trying. That was very successful. I can tell you more about that another time. Also at the high school, we have an update from the Wellness Task Force. The beginning of the second marking period, high school students will be taking a social emotional screener in their ELA classes. This has been prepared by social workers, and letters went home to families at the high school last week explaining the details of that. 2 quick items on instructional technology. I just wanted to remind everyone that on our school's website, if you click on the tabs at the top and find technology, one of the first things comes up is a 1-page instruction help guide for families. And I took a little screenshot and printed it for myself, but it shows the email address of the technology ticket desk and as well as a phone number. Also, there's still a Canvas help FAQ for families posted on the website as well, so that's there. And back to that idea about the marking period, I just want to remind everybody, it is nice that we are seeing some traditional things come and go, like the end of the first marking period was last week. Report cards go live tomorrow. So there are a few things that, which is neat. It's good to have feedback. Parent-teacher conferences are occurring this fall using some new applications that some of the schools have said they'll never do parent-teacher conferences the old way again. They're going to use this app from now on and forever. So it's nice to see some of our annual traditions continue, parent-teacher conferences and nice things like that that happen in the fall. That's what I have for you. That's item 9.3 on the agenda tonight. Not all of that, just, just the plan, just the plan. Questions for me?
Any questions? Mrs. Van Heitzma.
So just a couple questions. So, so now that we've transitioned the special ed students to remote, and did we provide, like, was there device needs that we were able to, were there any device needs that families had that we were able to accommodate that? That wasn't an issue, correct?
That should not be an issue. I have not heard of that being an issue, and it should not be because any of our students, of course, including our special education students, hopefully they would have requested it and needed it prior to today, regardless. So yes, and if not, we still have some to hand out. So yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Also, too, so you made mention of the additional time that's been allotted for the middle school social workers. I think we had a conversation. So that's not just during that period of time. They're available during the regular scheduled day as normal. Those are just specific times that people can schedule, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, as always, our social workers and our counselors and all of our support staff are available for families and students to reach out to at any time. I think one of the neat things that we established this year, and many schools probably have, is sort of this carved out office hour time so that any family, any student with any need at all knows that that time is protected, that a social worker's day isn't just so full that if I had a need, I couldn't squeak in. It carves out a little more time to make sure that availability is there for everyone.
I just wanted to do a huge thank you to our staff, too, just based on those levels of engagement with the students. I know that just in our previous meetings, we've talked about how there's a continual reach out for students that aren't engaging by the staff to try to engage them. So yeah. Kudos to those great percentages on the student engagement. So thank you very much. And
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mrs. Sykes.
One of the Royal Oak High School parents had mentioned to me, I know you said that the teachers were really excited at the success of the parent-teacher conference stuff. She absolutely loved it, the parent and her husband, and she said, oh my gosh, it was so great. So just wanted to let you know that from a parent side, at least one loved it, so thanks.
I think so, and it was all because of this application, of course. It's an app. And yes, I think I'm happy to say I think we are purchasing that for the entire district. It's pretty neat, huh?
Any other comments? I guess I'd like to say that we've changed and we've morphed how we've been teaching. I've heard that we're adding the Fridays, which wasn't there, so I appreciate it from the leadership and the staff to continually improve. So I can't imagine being a teacher at this time. However, the ability to change, to improve, to learn from what we've done right and what we've done wrong, and make it better for our students is very much appreciated. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I agree with you that everyone is working so hard.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to finance, facilities, and the bond. Mrs. Fitzpatrick.
Thank you very much. So first, I just want to say thank you to our community for the support of our operating millage that was on the ballot in November. It just confirms for us the community support that we have for our public school district. This will provide and ensure that we can provide the programs and operations for our district that our citizens have become accustomed to, and it really does secure our future from a financial point of view. So again, thank you to our community for that great support. There's several items on the agenda this evening. I'll draw your attention first to item 9.2. 9.2 is an IGA with Oakland County. It's a new partnership for us to receive CARES funds flowing through the county of Oakland. We have a longstanding relationship with Oakland Schools as our intermediate school district, and this is a new relationship with the county. So the resolution before you tonight as item 9.2 is to secure your approval for that relationship. The CARES Act funds that are flowing through the county are at a reimbursement format, and so with your approval, then the district and Ms. Abella and team can submit our costs to the county for reimbursement. Item 9.4 is an item to secure an additional 10 electrostatic sprayers. These are things I'm beginning to know a lot about that I did not know I would know in my career. We currently have sprayers in our district, and we use them regularly for the spaces that we need to sanitize, but 10 more out to our custodians and maintenance staff would give us the flexibility to clean and secure for future use multiple spaces in a given time and just make the job easier. So this is also something that will be funded through the CARES Act. This item was also discussed at length, as many of these items are, at our previous Finance and Facilities meeting. Item 9.5 is with regard to the ROMS elevators right here in the building that we're in. We were doing some modernization of those elevators. They are quite old, and we did have a plan to take a close look at those during these bond projects. But as it can be with bond projects and you get into some really old spaces, we did encounter some issues. Things were discovered. There was some water in that area around the piston and some broken casing, and so we're taking a close look at that right now. But we do need to change the amount of money that we were going to spend on that repair or modernization. And so because that amount is above what we can approve without your approval, you as a board have to take a look at that change order. So the resolution tonight is to authorize us to make the repairs in the amount stated in the resolution so that we can get it up to speed and make it more available to the students and staff here. Item 9.6 is a contract for ABM. That's our custodial maintenance and grounds team. When the state provided us with information late last spring that the finances were unstable, we were facing multi-million-dollar cuts possibly in our district, both for last year's budget and for this year's budget. We had a nice relationship with ABM to just extend the contract that was in place until we knew more about the security of the finances within the district. These certainly are staff members that we cannot do without. They provide services to all of us, and especially now at these times, their services are in dire need. So we are presenting and have discussed at Finance and Facilities also an increase for that team of 2%, and it would cover each of the custodial maintenance and grounds workers that we have. We also know that keeping them on our team and not going to another team is also a process that we get into. It's a competitive market right now for folks, and we certainly want our staff to stay with us in the district where we have a relationship and where we can count on them. Also within that is a recommendation to add a custodian to Oakland Elementary. During the bond, you'll note that we've added additional square footage, a classroom, bathrooms, a new cafeteria and kitchen. There's more space outside as well in terms of pavement and other areas to keep up for use. And so we are recommending some additional custodial time over at Oakland Elementary as part of item 9.6 in the contract that's there. Again, we also discussed these at Finance and Facilities. Item 9.7 is the bid pack, very exciting, for Adams and Upton Elementaries. They are the next two schools that come spring of 21, they will begin to go under construction. We are recommending the award of the areas and the alternates for your consideration that we did discuss in detail and take a close look at last week. We know that come spring, we'll get into the buildings. If students aren't in the buildings as they weren't at Oakland when that went under construction, we will have the opportunity to get in early into the buildings and begin some of the work. So some of the trades may be able to get in sooner than expected come the spring. If they don't need to work in the evenings, they may be able to work during the day. It just depends on our schedules. And I believe that's it for those items. Is there any questions about any of those items?
Any questions? Mrs. Van Heidsma?
Yeah, we did talk a lot about this at last week's meeting. The other thing too, as COVID continues, in the CARES Act funding we have for what period of time?
So there's several ways that we're getting money from the federal government for CARES Act. So this one in particular with the county, we need to submit all receipts by the end of December of 20. That's for reimbursement, but we also have other grants through the CARES Act where we can continue to submit receipts, as well as we had access to a FEMA grant to seek reimbursement for other expenses.
Is there the potential, as we look at the numbers and we know that COVID's not going away tomorrow, is there going to be some, or have you heard conversations about potential funding beyond December 31st yet, or it might be too soon at this point?
Not that we've heard of formally from the government. I know we're, very appreciative that the county chose to pass along the CARES funds that came into Oakland County and pass that to the public school districts. And so we're happy to participate with them, but I have not heard about additional federal. There's always need, so we keep petitioning for that. So we'll keep our ears open for it.
So just a comment on Bid Pack 5 contract awards. When we left Facilities and Finance on alternates A6, there were some questions. Those questions were resolved. The pricing was changed, reduced to what is more palatable. So again, I appreciate your efforts in going back to look at that. So when we left Thursday, it was an unknown. Now I believe it's more in line with what we expected.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Thank you very much.
Just one last item from the Finance Department, not related to an agenda item, but we also know that the state of Michigan is passing along money directly from the Treasury Department to teachers and to support staff. Miss Abella and her team have communicated that to each staff member, specifically in Royal Oak, making them aware of it. There's information on our website where any staff in question can find out more. They can always call Mr. Walensky's office or Miss Abella's office to ask questions. $500 to each teacher and $250 to support staff. There are some exclusions and some rules behind it, so we urge everyone to read that documentation and make the application to receive the money. And just so it's clear, the money comes directly from the State of Michigan Treasury Department to each employee. The district's role in this is to provide information about eligible employees, and it's their obligation to fill out the application for it. And I believe the checks are supposed to be distributed sometime in February of 21.
Thank you.
That's it? Yep.
Any comments? Thank you. Yes.
I have a question, I think. Is there a deadline for the staff, the teachers and support staff to apply for that?
There is. There's a timeline that's posted on the website with the documentation. In talking with Ms. Abella this week, I know that many staff that we thought should be eligible and would be applying, a great number of them already have. But I would just encourage, and I know there's representatives tonight in the audience from our ROEA, I would just encourage them to follow up with staff members and make sure everyone is taking care of that application and that money can come down to the employees that are due.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
With that, we'll move on to 4.3, Staff and Student Services. Mr. Patrick Walensky.
Thank you, Mr. Brinker. It's good to see all of you. Good to see everyone in person. Been looking at you on a computer screen since March, it seems like. Before I give my report, I'd like to acknowledge the presence this evening of the MEA Executive Director, Grat Dalton, my friend. He's here with us this evening. And the ROEA President, Marianne Campbell. You want to wave, Marianne? Marianne, both of them are here this evening. I want to introduce them, and I want to acknowledge the work that they have done on behalf of teachers these past 8 months. It's been incredible. And Tim Foreman before Marianne as well, her predecessor. When this pandemic and school closure began back in March, teachers had to reinvent teaching overnight, and to say it was challenging for them would be a tremendous understatement. In addition to quickly learning a completely different method of teaching, many of them, surprisingly large percentage have school-age children, so they were frustrated like the parents they were working with, trying to figure out how to teach their own children at home and teach virtually. And I know Grat, Marianne, and Tim have fielded hundreds of calls and questions from their members and have really struggled and done their best to represent them. So I want to encourage or reassure our members they've done their very best to represent you well. We have 367 teachers, certified staff in Royal Oak, so it's a lot of people to represent. In addition to having to reinvent how to deliver instruction, as they have, they've been anticipating this planned hybrid return for November 9th, so that was quite stressful. But many of the teachers have been dealing with this pandemic on a very personal level. I personally don't have anyone in my inner circle that has tested positive, but we have staff members that have tested positive. We have staff members with family members or immediate family members that they reside with who have tested positive. So it's very stressful dealing with that. We have this increasing number of people who are a direct contact. And if you're a direct contact with somebody who's tested positive, you got 14 days that you have to quarantine. If you're a Detroit Lions fan, we're all Detroit Lions fans, just admit it. You know that Matthew Stafford had to quarantine for 14 days. He disclosed that he had personal contact with someone in his personal life outside of the Lions organization, and I'm sure he quarantined at a very nice hotel, and they did fly him on a private jet to Minnesota, but I digress. Interesting, if you have an immediate family member who tested positive, if you don't test positive yourself, you have to begin a quarantine for 14 days after that immediate family member is able to leave home isolation. All of that being said, we currently have 12 members in some phase, 12 teachers in some phase of quarantine right now. And as you know, that was one of the factors, one of the challenges we really had to think through as we planned this hybrid return, because there's a significant shortage of teachers to fill in for those teachers who are home on quarantine. I will tell you that I had my county-wide directors meeting last week, and it's a problem in every district in Oakland County. These direct contacts, these quarantines, and a shortage of subs to fill in for the teachers. Speaking of teachers, on tonight's personnel report, item 8.1 for your approval are 4 teachers, 4 new hires. 2 of them were actually hired back in, well, they started back in September, but like recent graduates, they didn't have their teaching certificate completely finalized and in hand, so we keep them in as a substitute teacher basis until they're official, and that's why they're being recommended for hire tonight. 2 more were hired this week. Alexander, it's an unusual name, Tsakoff, spelled or pronounced Sakoff, who will be teaching ALA for Royal Oak Middle School, and Karen Cavell, who will be teaching 5th grade at Northwood Elementary. And you may ask why we're hiring 2 teachers in November. It's not that uncommon. Teachers do resign. We have 367 staff members. We had 1 resign for retirement, and we had another resign for personal family reasons, taking a position closer to her home. So as I said, with 367 teachers, that does happen. The most common reason for resignation is retirement, but it's not uncommon for teachers to resign for other reasons. I think we have a fairly high teacher retention rate in Royal Oak. In recent years, we've had teachers resign to accept some of the reasons teachers do leave, though. Some that come to mind, we've had at least 2 teachers accept principalships in other districts. Some accepted positions to be closer to their family. They had a long commute. At least two or three that I know of had to move out of state because their spouse accepted a job elsewhere. And so I say the number of reasons why a teacher might resign almost matches the number of resignations we had in recent years. Hiring excellent teachers and retaining those teachers, certainly it's going to be an ongoing goal of ours. One of the goals that has evolved out of our cultural competence work has been to increase the diversity of our staff, not only to increase the diversity of our staff, but also to retain them once hired. So we've begun looking more closely at the reasons why our new hires have left the profession or left the school district. I will tell you that I don't think in most cases, very few cases, it's out of a dissatisfaction for the district, which is reassuring. And if it were, then that would be something we'd want to address. One of the tasks that my Cultural Competence Subcommittee has done is we put together a survey that we want to send to the teachers we've hired in the last 2 years. It's over 50 teachers, and we just want to try to determine what factors might influence their decisions to stay in Royal Oak or perhaps seek employment elsewhere, and we want to look at that data. Also listed on the personnel report for your approval tonight is a new secretary. Sarah Garcia will be the new office secretary for Oak Ridge Elementary, replacing Sue Ketchkowski. That will be a significant change. If you know Sue Ketchkowski, she's been there a long time and strong personality, and I believe she's been with our school district over 30 years, so Sue will be missed, and Sarah has actually already begun filling in. Lastly, although I was not able to attend last week's Finance and Facilities Committee meeting, not because I was positive for a virus, Mary Ann, I know that you approved our purchase of Clear to Go health screening, and that was purchased with the CARES Act funding that Mary Beth Fitzpatrick mentioned earlier. Because we had planned to, it's an app that many of you have probably used if you've gone to a dental appointment or a doctor's office. You download the app and then you answer a handful of screener questions about your health or have you had direct contact with somebody who has tested positive, and then it clears you to go to school. If someone doesn't fill out the app, the building administrator gets a notification. So we do want to implement that. We didn't want to burden parents with that right now since their kids are remaining virtual, but we're going to have staff members begin using that next week, I believe. And that's my report. Do you have any questions for me?
Mrs. Van Heitzma.
Yeah, I wasn't harassing you, Mr. Walensky. Did we? I thought we still had some questions we were looking at for that app. Oh, okay, because Patrick just said we approved it. We didn't approve it. We were still asking some questions about it.
It's targeted for December, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Okay, my apologies.
I just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And, again, thank you to the staff for all their accommodations during this challenging learning time. And I know even just going forward, I hear from my daughter's cohort at school, too, talking about they're reconsidering their profession choices, just seeing what's going on this year and the challenges teachers are going through. So I think, going forward, it was already a challenge with recruitment of staff, just because there's a dwindling number of people going into the profession. But I think COVID is going to force some of those, thoughts again further. So we're going to have to really be aggressive in our pursuit of staff, I think.
We don't have a long line of people for subbing right now. I can say that. So, and that's, as I said, not a problem unique to Royal Oak, I'm finding.
Mrs. Anderson.
Well, I'm not so sure about the Lions, but I will echo what everyone has said about the teachers and the staff have been remarkable this fall and last spring, and I just want to pass along my appreciation as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from Mr. Walensky? I see none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That'll move us on to 4.4, Cultural Competence Engagement. Mrs. Fitzpatrick.
Thank you. So our cultural competence engagement, the whole committee's next meeting is on November the 17th. We'll gather virtually with our large group. We always invite, over 100 participants that have now signed up, but they're all invited to the larger meeting. The subcommittees, as Mr. Walensky alluded to, have been working. We broke our work up into subcommittee groups that could focus on the 4 goal areas, as I've mentioned before. They're currently taking the action items that they are recommending for the district to help meet those goals and populating a document. I want to thank Mr. Ioannis for gathering the information and pulling that process together for us. We will present all of those to the large group next week at the meeting for discussion and refinement, and then that will be a presentation to the board at the open December meeting. We felt it was very important to bring it back to the CCEC group as a whole first, to make any last adjustments, and then move forward with it as a presentation for you. Also within our plan with the whole group is that we're looking at our own adult learning, learning together, and professional development for all of us as parents, community members, or staff in the district. We've organized a self-assessment that we're hoping each one of the CCEC committee group members takes. The results from that will help us drive future speakers and experts in the areas and refine our own learning. We all know that we're at different places along the continuum of learning with regard to diversity and inclusion and equity, and we want to make sure that we bring that just right fit learning back to our team and continue working with them. One of the things that we have spoken about before is securing an equity officer or an equity administrator to help work with us within the district. That position has several different titles. I've done some research with other districts around the country and in our immediate area, gathered job descriptions. We will want stakeholder feedback regarding what they see for this position, goals that they see for a person who can devote their time to furthering all of our work in the district, keeping us organized and making sure that we're fulfilling the promises that we've made to our community. We will be making those recommendations, talking to other colleagues in other districts for their input as well. After the first of the year, working with our Board of Education and our CCEC group, we will develop the job description, post that position, and then conduct a process for hiring from there. So we would be bringing that recommendation to the board. But we are continuing that. We're in that research phase right now. There are some districts in our county, but there are certainly other districts in the surrounding counties and across the state that have positions just like this. And so we want to make sure that if we're investing in it, it's going to meet the needs for Royal Oak and also follow along for the goals that our colleagues have found this important position to help fulfill for them. So we're in that process right now. So that's my report tonight for CCEC.
Thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Fitzpatrick? I see none. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move to public comment. If you'd like to make a public comment, please raise your hand to request to speak. When I call on you, please come to the microphone and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address for the record. After you are done speaking, please sign the sign-in sheet by the microphone with a new pen, and please keep the pen with you. There will be 2 opportunities for public comment. Public comment is not intended for the exchange of dialogue. This is the time for members of the public to express their views. We are paying attention to your comments and appreciate them. However, school board members generally do not respond to public comment during the meeting. Questions that arise from public comment shall be referred to the superintendent or her designee for review, study, and possible future response. Would anyone like to address the board? Mr. Dalton, please.
Good evening. My name is Grat Dalton. I'm at 2425 Vincetta. I do not have children in the district other than about 600 or so members that I represent. My role here in Royal Oak is I'm the executive director of 2 very fine labor organizations, the ROA, of course, and also the paras and secretaries who work so hard on your behalf and on our students' behalf. So I have a special place in Royal Oak. Yes, I do live here. My other districts, basically, my office is in Lathrop Village, and other staff people like myself, we represent all of the MAA units in any Oakland County district south of 16 Mile Road. So if you can imagine that vast area as far west as Telegraph Road, all the way down to Novi, Northville, Hazel Park, Troy, Berkeley, Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills, lots of other districts in Oakland County, but my favorite is Royal Oak. So I wanted to take this time to thank you as a public servant for sitting in your seats during this crazy time. I learned a couple years ago, I was a staff officer in a reserve unit that was deployed to Bagram. And during that time, I had to do a lot of introspective about my leadership and what role I was playing for those soldiers' lives. And I learned that they needed me as their staff officer when they were tired and hungry and sometimes in grave danger and under a great amount of stress. And that is not unlike the role that you're playing now for this great community. My members, our students, their parents are tired, figuratively hungry for normalcy, and if you look at the numbers today, could be in grave danger. So not unlike that role that you play, and you've done it very admirably. For those of you who are leaving the board, I want to thank you for your service, not only as the executive director of these great labor groups that you've acknowledged tonight. I appreciate your service, but also as a community member who values your role. And for the incoming board members, I think there's some behind me, if you can remember that they will need your leadership when they're tired, anxious, and sometimes in grave danger. I think that you'll do great. Again, I appreciate your hard work. I know it's been tough. I appreciate very much the kind words that you say about the labor that I represent in this community. There is nothing like representing folks in the classroom and at front desks in your buildings and in para support. There's nothing like it, because as a labor leader, I can come to you and be incredibly proud of the work that they do. They are tireless in their efforts to change their practice in ways that astound me every single day. So thank you for your support of them. At your last board meeting, you solidified your support for my members by approving some release time for our local ROEA leader that will continue the hard work and collaboration in honoring their practice and in roles in advocacy in this district. And I want to publicly thank you for your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, please.
Good evening. I have to touch the microphone, I'm sorry. I'm Shelley Kemp, 1012 Lawndale Drive, Royal Oak. I did have a child in the school district. He is a senior at Grand Valley right now, but he was here in 2017, right? Yep, it's been so long. So I'm Shelley Kemp. In my day job, I'm the executive director for the Royal Oak Chamber of Commerce. But tonight I'm here representing Royal Oak Youth Assistance, and we do have a couple of board members up there and in the audience. You are surrounded by Royal Oak Youth Assistance this evening. As one of our important sponsors, we wanted to give you an update on our accomplishments. As closings and layoffs in Royal Oak hit families hard, we expanded our emergency needs grants from a very tiny portion of our budget to the majority of our expenses in the last 8 months. Every child in Royal Oak from a low-income family or from a family hurt financially by the pandemic is eligible for a $200 grant that can cover basic expenses, including rent, mortgage, groceries, utilities, water, transportation, or medical bills. From March 15th to June 30th, we assisted 185 children from 97 families with $36,335 in grants. In the new fiscal year, we've helped 234 children from 75 families with $42,603 in grants. We went well beyond our annual city sponsorship of $20,000 with this program alone, and also obviously went well beyond with the school sponsorship. Our volunteer board of directors has been actively networking and fundraising, and we have raised a total of $42,600 since March. Our caseworker is still busy providing online counseling and diversion cases for 25 Royal Oak families via Zoom. She loves it. Not really. She'd like to see people in person. We are learning how valuable these services are in supporting and counseling families during this incredibly stressful time. This week we are delivering therapeutic supplies to the families, which will allow the children to remain actively engaged, which they are in desperate need of right now, as we all are. Many of our other programs are ongoing as well. Just a few families have applied for skill building funds, which are grants to help children join organized activities. Since July 1st, we have funded 6 kids for activities like virtual dance, IB assessment fees, and children's choir for a total of $1,190. Our 8 mentors are active with their mentees doing homework, activities, or just hanging out in virtual space. Working with Team Turkey, we are delivering fully cooked dinners to the doors of 29 client families on Thanksgiving this year. In addition, we added 2 new events to our new fiscal year. First, we delivered 175 stuffed backpacks. They were stuffed with school supplies and stuffed animals, which were very cute if anyone was there handing them out, to children by means of a contactless parking lot pickup. That worked so well that we handed out Halloween goodie bags in the same fashion to 137 kids for a little Halloween fun, and people did dress up as well. We were proud of the way Royal Oak Youth Assistance has pivoted to address the changing needs of children and families in the last 8 months. Your sponsorship remains the important factor in our ability to do so, and we want to express our gratitude for it. Finally, we have programming coming up in December to provide food and holiday gifts to over 100 Royal Oak families. Please check out our Facebook page for upcoming events and updates on other things that we'll be doing. Thank you so much for your support, and stay healthy, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board? Mrs. Campbell.
Hello, my name is Mary Ann Welch Campbell. I live at 1915 McDonald Avenue in Royal Oak. I am the president of the ROEA, the Royal Oak Teachers Union, and I'd like to take this time to thank the board for the approval of release time for the president. This release time will enhance the collaboration between the teachers union and the school district, so I thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Lydia Elshakarna. I live at 2210 Baxter Avenue here in Royal Oak. I just had a quick question. I was here on the 4th when we decided to pull all service for special ed students. I noticed that in this very building, 2 days following that decision, we were still at a risk level E, and we hosted a varsity swim event where we invited other districts or other schools from the county to come and participate. And I saw a tweet about hosting girls varsity basketball for the winter. So I'm just wondering if we can facilitate these winter sports for these students in person, how we're doing so, and if we can apply the same thing to the special ed department. So if somebody could just email me about that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board? I see none. With that, we'll close public comment. Move on to item number 6, communications. Mrs. Van Heidsma.
Thank you, Mr. Brinker. Since our meeting last week, we've had the following communications. Some of these came in directly at the same day of our meeting last week. So these are communications as of this morning at 6 in the morning. Ivy Richard was a thank you. Christina West, questions regarding COVID. Lisa A. Winters, in regards to the safety plan. Kim Stanley, it was a thank you. Lydia Elshakarna and Kelly McKinney in regards to special needs. Paul Voidilla in regards to return to learn. Treva Formby and Michelle Cook in regards to in-person meetings. Eflin Unger in regards to return to learn. Stacy Wojciechowicz in regards to return to learn. Claudine Gadecki in regards to learning plan, and Debbie Taylor, a thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to item number 7, the superintendent's report. Mrs. Fitzpatrick.
Thank you. Just a few things for your consideration tonight. Another item on your agenda is item 9.1. It represents contracts for the 3 executive directors that I work with every day regarding the basic operations of our district. So Mr. Walensky in Human Resources, Staff and Student Services, Ms. Olson for Curriculum and Instruction, Technology, Special Education, and then Grants. and also Miss Abella for finance facilities and all the operations of the district. These are contracts that will, it's a 2-year agreement that I have before you tonight for your consideration, representing the 2021 school year and 21-22 school year. This is another group of professionals who did not renew the contracts when they expired in July, but we moved forward a 19-20 rate pending your approval deeper into the fall when we had a better idea about our financial situation. So those contracts are before you tonight for your approval. The other item I'd like to cover tonight is really something we've heard a lot about tonight, which is the social emotional support for all of our families and for our staff. As Mr. Walensky pointed out, this horrible virus has impacted many of us, personally and professionally. So when we're at work, we put our best foot forward. We do a number of things for our staff and students here, and we try to make the best decisions that we can with the information that we have. To say that it's an ever-changing landscape, again, an understatement, as he said. We are consistently looking at data. I was on a call today with 28 superintendents across Oakland County, as well as 3 representatives from the Oakland County Health Department. We go over the numbers, the trends, what we're seeing with regard to the virus, availability in the hospitals, numbers of cases, positivity rate. Again, a number of items that I have all too well learned a lot about this school year, in addition to curriculum and instruction and technology and all the good things that we do for the students of the district. But we know that the social and emotional support of our families who rely on schools to be the center of their livelihood. I wrote an article for an upcoming magazine in the district and said that, normalcy is football games and parades, concerts and swim meets and other things that we're so used to having. You don't realize, I had 2 children in school. We were very active with our children through their K-12 public school experience. And we know how often we were at the school. And in most days, my children spent more time at the school, 7 days a week, than they did in my own home. And now that we're not doing that, there's a void. And so we do want those connections, those engagements that Ms. Olson spoke about tonight. And we also know our staff need support. So we recognize how hard they're working, but it's stressful for them as well, that balance between their home life and their school life. So one of the things I'd like to just put forth to the board for consideration, and it's not a recommendation tonight, I really would like to look at the number of supports we have across the district and make sure that we are right-sized for positions like social workers and counselors and other support folks who, in addition to the wonderful organizations like Roya and the other supports of Blessings in a Backpack and our Boys and Girls Clubs and the SAL in our community, that we can also up our professional staff so that they're more available to families and more available to students and to our staff who do need someone to talk to. The school year hasn't gone the way it should have for many people. This is a crazy time for everyone, as we've expressed tonight. So just wanted to put that out for consideration tonight, take any feedback that you have, but working with our staff and our administrators this week and again next, I'd like to be able to bring a formal recommendation to you in the near future to increase that staffing because I do see a great need, and I know that our staff are working hard and we could use a few more hearts and hands in that business. So just questions you have or comments about that?
Any questions? Mrs. Anderson.
I think that sounds like a really good proposal to bring to us. I know we've increased our social work staff, and we've talked about this for some time, and I think that the pandemic has only increased the need, so I would be really interested in hearing more about it in a proposal.
Great. Mrs. Van Heidsma.
Just to reiterate what Mrs. Anderson was saying, because I know we increased our numbers for our staff for this year, and I think given everything that we see happening in the world right now, it's really necessary for us to have enough support for staff and for our students. So definitely would support some review of that.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Thank you.
That's all I have this evening.
Thank you very
I was
much.
just double checking.
Thank you. So with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Currently, the consent agenda consists of 8.1 personnel changes, 8.2 payment of expenses, 8.3 minutes. Is there any additions or deletions proposed? Mr. Briggs.
Yeah, I'd like to add 9.1, Executive Director Contracts, 9.2, Oakland County CARES Act, 9.3, Extended COVID-19, 9.4, Electrostatic Sprayers, 9.5, the Royal Oak Middle School elevator repair, and the 9.6 ABM contract change, 9.7 bid pack number 5.
Any objection? With the, Mrs. Anderson?
I would like to comment that we discussed all these things at great length last week at Facilities and Finance, and I'm going to make my usual pitch. All those meetings are open to the public. We'd love to have everyone join us. And yeah, there's a lot of discussion that we had last week at length, like I said.
So again, although we didn't talk about it, 9.5, the elevator change order, if we do not do that work, the state will not approve letting us use the elevator. So again, we looked at it. Those are all the details that are reviewed at Facilities and Finance. So with no objections, the consent agenda is passed and consists of 8.1, personnel changes, 8.2, payment of expenses, 8.3 minutes, 9.1, executive director contracts, 9.2, Oakland County CARES Act distribution interlocal agreement, 9.3, extended COVID-19 learning plan, 9.4, electrostatic sprayers, 9.5, ROMS elevator change order, 9.6, ABM contract change, and 9.7, bid pack 5 contract awards. So that'll push us to item number 10, public comment. Same rules apply. Would anyone like to address the board? I see none. With that, we'll close public comment and go on to board comments and liaison reports. Any comments? Mr. Briggs?
Yeah, I just want a quick comment. I wanted to thank our staff and everybody for what everybody's going through right now. It's been really tough, and I think it's been admirable. Everybody's been doing a great job, and as we keep moving forward. The other thing I wanted to just mention, I know that we took a picture of those kids tonight that received their National Merit Scholarship or Merit Accommodation. Can we make sure that there's pictures of them put in our publications without masks on, so people can see who they are instead of the one with just all of them in masks? I think it would be nice to see their faces in your schools and on our website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Van Heidsma?
Just to thank you, Shelley isn't here now, but to Royal Oak Youth Assistance and Blessings in a Backpack. Royal Oak Youth Assistance is supported by the city and the district, and to a lot of generous supporters that we've had this year. It's been an amazing year of generosity by so many people. So appreciative of that. And also Blessings in a Backpack as well, doing so much to help support our kids and our families in the district. It's very appreciative. They know as our PTAs are also working through ways to continue to support families by holiday meals and other things as well. So we're grateful to all our PTAs that are also continuing to support families during this challenging time. So just a big thank you to everybody.
Thank you. Any other comments? Board liaison reports? I see none. There's some, as Mrs. Anderson mentioned, the upcoming meetings are open to the public, and we welcome people to join us, including City School Liaison Meeting, the Facilities and Finance, and then the next regular board meeting. No other comments, questions? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.